The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was silent. Thousands of alien representatives sat in their designated seats, their eyes locked onto the central platform where a single human delegate stood. Ambassador Jonathan Hale, Earth's last hope for justice, kept his posture firm. His sharp blue eyes scanned the room, but he could already tell this was not a negotiation. It was a trial. Above him, the massive holographic seal of the council flickered, casting a cold blue light over the room. The silence broke when High Chancellor Virik, a towering reptilian with golden scales, stepped forward. His voice, deep and smooth, echoed through the hall. "Ambassador Hale," Virik said, his tone devoid of emotion, "the council has deliberated. The accusations against humanity are grave. You stand here today as your species' representative, but understand this, your fate is already sealed." Hale clenched his fists but remained calm. "I was under the impression this was a discussion," he replied, "not a sentencing." A few murmurs rippled through the chamber, but Virik continued without acknowledging them. "Humanity has proven itself unpredictable, aggressive, and dangerously ambitious. Your wars, your technological advancements, and your refusal to submit to council authority have made you a threat to galactic stability." Another alien, a short, insect-like being named Counselor Zithra, clicked her mandibles. "You disrupt the natural order," she hissed. "We welcomed you into the galactic community, and yet you refuse to follow the rules. The Council has decided that Earth shall no longer be a recognized member of this body." The words hit like a hammer. A murmur turned into whispers. Some representatives looked uncomfortable, while others, those from rival species, smirked in satisfaction. Hale exhaled, keeping his expression neutral. "You want to ban humanity from the Council. Over what? Advancing too quickly? Protecting ourselves?" His voice sharpened. "Or is it because we refuse to bow?" The chamber grew tense. A few counselors shifted uncomfortably, while others glared. Virik narrowed his reptilian eyes. "This is not a debate, Ambassador. The Council has ruled." A mechanical voice rang out from the center of the chamber, the voice of the AI-driven scribe. "Final verdict. Earth is hereby expelled from the Galactic Council. Effective immediately." Hale felt his heart pound. He knew the Council had been planning this, but hearing it declared with such finality was different. Humanity had fought for its place among the stars, only to be cast aside like a failed experiment. For the first time, he allowed himself to glare. "You're making a mistake," he said, his voice low but firm. "You think this will weaken us, break us. But you're wrong. Humanity doesn't fall when pushed. We rise." Virik's lips curled into something resembling a smirk. "Then rise alone, human." Two armored guards, towering insectoid warriors, stepped toward Hale. He didn't resist as they escorted him out of the chamber, but before he left, he glanced back at the assembled counselors. Many looked relieved, some looked uncertain, and a few, just a few, looked afraid. They should be. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Every city, every colony, every outpost received the broadcast. Humanity had been exiled from the Galactic Council. Some were outraged, some were afraid, but most were silent. Inside a secured military bunker, a group of high-ranking officials sat around a steel table. General Elias Carter, a grizzled veteran with silver hair and sharp green eyes, leaned forward. His voice was calm, but his words carried weight. "It's done," he said. "The Council has turned its back on us." Across from him, Dr. Evelyn Park, a leading scientist, adjusted her glasses. And now, silence. Then, Admiral Rhys Donovan smirked. "Now, we stop playing by their rules." Carter nodded. "We've been preparing for this. The Exodus Project is ready. If they don't want us in their empire." He looked around at his colleagues, steel in his gaze. "Then we build our own." The Council's decision spread like wildfire across human territories. Some were shocked, others furious. But one thing was clear. This was not the end. Earth had been cast out, labeled as reckless, dangerous, and unpredictable. But humanity had never needed permission to survive. On Earth, in the heart of the Sol system, leaders, scientists, and military strategists gathered in secret. The meeting was held deep within the underground fortress of Olympus Command, a place known only to the highest-ranking officials. General Elias Carter stood at the head of the table, his hands resting firmly on the cold steel surface. Around him sat some of the brightest minds of humanity. Military officers, scientists, engineers, and political leaders, each of them understanding the gravity of the situation. "So," Carter began, his voice steady, "we are officially alone." Dr. Evelyn Park, one of Earth's leading astrophysicists, tapped her fingers against the table. "We knew this was coming," she said. "The Council has been pushing us out for years. This was inevitable." Admiral Rhys Donovan smirked, leaning back in his chair. "Then we stopped pretending we need them." A murmur of agreement spread through the room. For decades, humanity had expanded rapidly, building colonies, developing technology at an unprecedented rate, and proving itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with even the oldest galactic civilizations. But that had made the Council uneasy. They feared humanity's ambition. And now, they had finally found a way to remove Earth from the equation. "The question," Carter said, "is what we do next." There was a pause, but not of hesitation, of calculation. Evelyn adjusted her glasses. "We have assets they don't know about. Experimental ships, off-the-record colonies, research stations beyond their surveillance." Riz grinned. "And we have something far more dangerous than any weapon." Carter looked at him. "Which is?" Riz leaned forward, his expression serious. "A reason." A silence fell over the room. "They cast us out," Rice continued. "They think they've won. That we'll just accept it and fade away." He shook his head. "They don't understand humanity." Carter nodded slowly. "Then we build." Heads turned toward him. "We build something greater than what they destroyed," he said. "We don't need the Council. We don't need their rules. We'll make our own empire." A ripple of energy passed through the room. Evelyn smirked. "Then it's time to accelerate the Exodus project." For years, humanity had been working in the shadows, developing plans for an independent future. Secret research facilities had been constructing warships more advanced than anything the Council had seen. Colonies were being established in the furthest reaches of space, hidden from prying eyes. Now, they would no longer be side projects. They would become the foundation of something new. Carter turned to his officers. "How long until we're ready to deploy?" A commander checked his data tablet. "We can have the first wave of ships operational within 6 months. Full fleet deployment in 2 years." Riz grinned. "Then we're ahead of schedule." Evelyn leaned forward. "And what about diplomacy? We still have allies, independent factions that don't fully trust the Council." Carter considered this. "We reach out, quietly. Let them know that humanity isn't going anywhere." A sense of purpose filled the room. For too long, Earth had played by the Council's rules. Now, those rules no longer applied. Carter stood. "This is the beginning. Not of our downfall, but of our rise. Far beyond Earth, a hidden threat. While Earth's leaders planned, far beyond the reach of known space, something else was unfolding. A lone vessel drifted in the darkness, hidden from the eyes of the Galactic Council. It was not a human ship, nor was it a recognized vessel of any known species. Its hull was covered in strange markings, its technology far beyond standard galactic engineering. Inside, figures moved with eerie precision, their glowing eyes scanning data streams filled with human transmissions. One figure, taller than the rest, observed silently. "The Council has made their decision," a voice echoed. "They believe humanity will wither in isolation." The tall figure did not respond immediately. Instead, it watched the screen where images of Earth's military movements flashed. "They are wrong," the figure finally said. "Humanity does not fade. It adapts." A pause. "What are your orders?" The figure turned, its glowing eyes narrowing. "We observe, we wait, and when the time is right, we decide whether humanity rises." It turned back to the screen, watching as human ships moved in secret, or whether they burn. Humanity wasted no time. The moment Earth was exiled from the Galactic Council, they mobilized. The Council had assumed that cutting humanity off from trade, diplomacy, and shared technology would cripple them. They were wrong. If anything, the betrayal only hardened their resolve. Deep within the asteroid belt of Sol's outer system, massive shipyards came to life. Once hidden research projects, long dismissed as unnecessary, were now activated at full scale. New warships, faster and stronger than anything the Council had ever seen, were being constructed in secret. On Mars, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to advance humanity's technology beyond what was thought possible. There was no more need to comply with outdated Council regulations that had kept their advancements in check. They were free now, free to push the limits. But not everyone believed war was the answer. In a hidden underground base on Luna, a different kind of discussion was taking place. Dr. Evelyn Park paced the dimly lit war room, her mind racing with possibilities. Across from her, Admiral Rhys Donovan leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, a smirk on his face. General Elias Carter, always the steady presence, observed them both in silence. "We can't just build ships and expect to win," Evelyn said. "The Council isn't just one empire. It's a network of hundreds of species all working together. If we go to war now, we'll be crushed." Rice scoffed. "We're not just building ships. We're building an empire of our own, one that doesn't need their permission to exist." Carter tapped a finger against the table. "She's right, Rice. We can't rush this. The Council thinks we're finished, and for now, we should let them believe that." Rice sighed. "So what's your plan? Hide in the shadows while they tighten their grip on the galaxy?" Evelyn leaned forward. "We make alliances, quietly. There are species out there who don't trust the Council, who don't like how much power they hold. If we play this right, we won't be standing alone when the time comes." Rice was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Fine, but we don't wait forever." Carter stood, looking at the holographic map of the galaxy projected above the table. "We don't have to. We're already moving faster than they expected. The first wave of Exodus ships is almost ready to launch. Once they do, humanity will no longer be confined to Earth. We'll be everywhere." A grin spread across Rice's face. "Now that's a plan I can get behind." Evelyn, despite her reservations, couldn't help but feel the excitement growing. This wasn't just about survival. It was about something greater. Humanity had been pushed into a corner, but they weren't defeated. They were just getting started. The Galactic Council remained oblivious to what was happening in the shadows. They believed Earth had been crippled, that humanity would collapse without their resources and support. But they had underestimated the resilience of the species they had cast out. Across the Sol system, hidden colonies flourished. The Council had always restricted Earth's expansion, fearing their rapid technological growth. Now, without those restrictions, humanity spread like wildfire. The first Exodus fleets had already left the solar system, heading to the uncharted fringes of the galaxy. Some of these colonies were established in deep space, far from any known trade routes. Others settled on abandoned or overlooked worlds, places the Council had deemed worthless. But humans saw potential where others saw nothing. Among them was Captain Alex Mercer, leader of the first deep space colony ship, Dawnbringer. His ship had been traveling for months, carrying thousands of settlers towards a world only recently discovered by Earth's long-range scouts. The Council had dismissed it as a barren rock, but advanced scans had revealed hidden resources beneath its surface, enough to sustain a thriving colony. As Dawnbringer entered the system, Mercer stood on the bridge, watching the planet grow larger in the viewport. He had spent his life serving under the Council's rules. Now he was free. "Bring us into orbit," he ordered. His navigator, Lieutenant Harper, nodded. "Aye, Captain." Scanning the surface now. A few moments later, alarms blared. "Sir," Harper said, eyes wide. "We're not alone. There's a structure down there." Mercer frowned. "Council." Harper shook her head. "No, it's old. Really old." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The Council had abandoned this planet centuries ago. But who had been here before? "Send a team down," Mercer said. "I want to know what we're dealing with." An hour later, the landing craft touched down near the mysterious ruins. The atmosphere was thin but breathable. The landscape was rocky, with jagged cliffs and deep canyons stretching in every direction. But at the center of it all was a structure, a massive towering building, half buried in the sand. Its dark metal exterior was covered in alien carvings. As the exploration team approached, Lieutenant Reyes ran his gloved fingers over the symbols. "This isn't Council tech," he muttered. "Then who built it?" asked Surgeon Hale, scanning the structure with a handheld device. Before anyone could answer, the ruins came to life. A deep, resonating hum echoed through the air, and hidden doors began to slide open. The team stepped back, weapons raised. Mercer's voice crackled over the comms. "What's happening down there?" Reyes swallowed hard. "Captain, I think we just woke something up." The ruins groaned as ancient mechanisms activated, releasing clouds of dust that had settled over countless centuries. The deep hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground beneath the explorer's boots. Surgeon Hale tightened his grip on his weapon, eyes darting toward the opening passage ahead. "Captain," Reyes whispered into the comms, "these structures, they're not abandoned. Something is still operational here." On board the Dawnbringer, Captain Mercer listened intently. His instincts screamed caution, but this was the kind of discovery that could change everything. If these ruins held technology older than the Council itself, it might give humanity the edge they needed. "Proceed with caution," Mercer ordered. "If anything looks hostile, fall back immediately." Reyes led the team forward, stepping through the massive doorway. Dim blue lights flickered to life along the walls, revealing corridors lined with strange alien inscriptions. The air smelled metallic, like old circuits and stale oxygen. It was a tomb, but not an empty one. As they moved deeper inside, Reyes's scanner beeped. "Captain, I'm detecting energy signatures, stable ones. Whatever powered this place, it's still running." Hale glanced at the towering walls. "This isn't just a ruin. It's a facility. Someone built this to last." Then the noise started. A deep, mechanical clicking, like gears grinding together. A faint glow pulsed ahead, and suddenly, a figure emerged. It was tall, at least 8 feet, and humanoid in shape, but its body was covered in metallic plating, smooth and seamless like living armor. Its eyes glowed a cold white as it turned toward them. The explorers froze. Reyes barely had time to react before the figure spoke. "Designation: human," it said in a deep, synthetic voice. "You are unauthorized." The soldiers raised their weapons. Reyes lifted a cautious hand. "We're not here to fight. We didn't know this place was occupied." The figure remained motionless for a long moment before tilting its head. "Statement: this facility predates your civilization. You should not be here." Reyes exhaled slowly. "We've been exiled from the Galactic Council. We're just looking for a new home." There was silence. Then the figure stepped aside, motioning toward the passage beyond. "Access granted," it said. "Proceed." The team hesitated. This wasn't what they expected. Reyes exchanged glances with Hale before speaking into his comms. "Captain, I think we just found something older than the Council." A pause. Then Mercer's voice came through. "Keep going. Whatever this is, it might be the key to our future." "You said." The team advanced cautiously through the ancient corridors, their footsteps echoing against the metal-plated floors. The strange guardian moved ahead of them, its glowing eyes casting eerie reflections on the walls. Every instinct screamed that they were walking into something beyond their understanding. But turning back was not an option. Reyes kept his scanner active, watching as data flooded the screen. "Captain," he whispered into the comms, "the energy signatures in this facility are off the charts. Whatever powers this place is still running at full capacity." "Understood," Mercer replied from orbit. "Keep me updated. If anything seems too dangerous, pull back immediately." The group stepped into a vast chamber, and all of them froze in place. Towering structures, lined with pulsating blue veins of energy, stretched toward the ceiling. Floating platforms hovered in midair, shifting slowly as though adjusting to their presence. Along the walls, thousands of symbols flickered, written in a language none of them recognized. The Guardian stopped in the center of the chamber and turned to face them. Observation: humanity has not yet achieved full interstellar sovereignty, yet your species displays resilience and rapid adaptation. Reyes frowned. "You know about humans." The figure nodded, mechanical joints clicking. "This facility contains records of all known intelligent civilizations. The Galactic Council was not the first empire, nor will it be the last." Hale tightened his grip on his weapon. "Then who built this place?" There was a long pause before the figure responded. "A civilization long before your own. One that saw the dangers of centralized control and sought to leave behind a warning." The lights in the chamber shifted, and suddenly, holographic projections filled the air. The explorers watched in stunned silence as scenes of destruction played out before them. Entire planets consumed in war, fleets shattered in battle, and a council-like organization collapsing under its own corruption. "This has happened before," Reyes murmured, watching the devastation unfold. "The council isn't the first to exile a rising power." The Guardian's voice remained steady. "Correct. Those who gain power fear those who might challenge it. This cycle has repeated across millennia." Mercer's voice crackled through the comms. "Reyes, are you saying this facility holds records of civilizations that existed before the Council?" "Not just records, Captain," Reyes replied. "Warnings, maybe even blueprints. If we can decode this data, we might learn what brought those civilizations down and how to avoid their fate." Silence followed. Then Mercer's voice came through with firm resolve. "Download everything you can. If the Council thought exiling us would weaken humanity, they were wrong. We're not just building a new empire, we're learning from the past." The team got to work. They didn't know it yet, but this discovery would change humanity's destiny forever. As the data transfer began, the chamber pulsed with energy, ancient mechanisms responding to the team's presence. Reyes monitored the progress on his tablet, his fingers moving rapidly over the screen. The files were massive, filled with complex schematics, historical records, and what looked like technological blueprints far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Hale stood guard near the entrance, his weapon at the ready. "I don't like this," he muttered. "This place has been locked away for who knows how long. Why is it still active? And why is it letting us take all this information?" Reyes glanced at the Guardian, which remained perfectly still, its glowing eyes watching them. "Maybe because we're not a threat," he suggested, "or maybe because it wants us to have this knowledge." The Guardian spoke, its deep, synthetic voice cutting through the quiet. "You are at a crossroads. The knowledge you acquire here can forge an empire, or bring ruin." Reyes swallowed hard. "And which outcome do you think is more likely?" The Guardian didn't answer. Instead, the lights in the chamber shifted, and new holograms appeared. They depicted a fleet, sleek, advanced, and unmistakably human in design. Ships that had never been built, weapons that had never been fired. Hale's eyes widened. "These are ours?" "No," the Guardian said. "They are what you could become, if you choose wisely." Reyes barely had time to process this before an alarm blared through the facility. Red warning symbols flashed across the walls, and the ground trembled beneath them. "Reyes, report." Mercer's voice was sharp through the comms. Reyes's heart pounded. Something just triggered an alert. We need to move now. The Guardian turned toward the far end of the chamber. Unidentified vessels have entered this sector. A suppression force from the Galactic Council has been dispatched. Hale cursed. They found us. Reyes grabbed the tablet, ensuring the download was complete. We have what we need. Let's get back to the Dawnbringer. The Guardian stepped aside, pointing toward an alternate exit. Follow this path. Your transport is waiting. The team didn't hesitate. They ran, the distant rumble of approaching enemy ships shaking the facility. The Council thought they had banished humanity into obscurity, but they had only given them a reason to rise. The team sprinted through the dimly lit corridors, their boots pounding against the ancient metal floors. The facility trembled around them as distant explosions echoed through the structure. The Galactic Council's suppression force had arrived, and they were closing in fast. Reyes clutched the data tablet to his chest as he ran, his mind racing. If they could get this information back to their people, it would change everything. The schematics, the histories, the warnings, it was more than just knowledge. It was power. The kind of power that could shape the future of humanity. Hale glanced over his shoulder. They're dropping troops at the entrance. We need to move faster. Reyes forced his legs to push harder. Up ahead, the exit loomed, a massive steel door that had begun sliding open. Through the gap, the Dawnbringer's sleek form was visible, its engines glowing as it prepared for a rapid extraction. The Guardian, still moving with eerie precision, led the way. As they reached the exit, it turned to Reyes. This facility will not survive the Council's assault. The knowledge you now carry must not be lost. Reyes nodded. We won't let it be. The team dashed onto the landing platform, the ship's side doors sliding open to greet them. Mercer's voice came through the comms. Get in now. We're lifting off the moment you're aboard. They barely made it inside before the ship's thrusters roared to life. The Dawnbringer shot upward, breaking through the planet's thin atmosphere. Below them, the facility erupted in flames as Council forces launched their assault, erasing any trace of what once lay hidden there. Reyes collapsed into his seat, breathing heavily. He looked down at the tablet in his hands. The Council had tried to erase the past, but humanity had recovered it. Mercer's voice was steady but filled with urgency. Reyes, tell me you got something worth all this trouble. Reyes met his captain's gaze, a slow grin forming. We didn't just get something, sir. We got everything. Silence hung in the cabin for a moment before Mercer spoke again, this time with conviction. Then it's time to build the empire they never wanted us to have. As the ship vanished into the depths of space, humanity's fate was no longer in the hands of the Council. The exile had failed. The rise had begun.